Hello everyone. In this video we will discuss the types of machine learning. So if we talk broadly, then machine learning is categorized as supervised learning, unsupervised learning and reinforcement learning. Apart from these three categories, we can combine supervised learning and unsupervised learning to form a semi-supervised learning machine learning algorithm. So in that category we will not discuss in this video. We are just confined to these three categories. So supervised learning is the learning process in which we provide a supervised data. As the name suggests, we try to supervise the computer by giving the data, and which is in the form of previous inputs and their consequent outputs. Means on the basis of previous inputs and their consequent outputs, the program or the learning algorithm tries to give the uh, output as per the current input. We will show you the diagram in which you will be easily understanding the concept of supervised learning along with the examples. In case of unsupervised learning, we do not give the previous inputs and their subsequent outputs, but we just give the previous inputs or certain number of inputs on the basis of which the learning algorithm or the computer tries to classify them or cluster them into certain categories as per their various features. The third category, which is reinforcement learning. In this type of learning, the agent performs the action in the environment, and as the resultant of that action, there may be some reward or some punishment on the basis of which the agent decides its consequent actions. So if it is a reward or it is some plus point of that action, then then the agent understands that yes, this is a good action, we can repeat this action in the future. And on the other hand, if the resultant from the environment or the reaction from the environment is some negative reaction or some punishment, then the agent understands that this action is not actually desired, so it avoids that action to be performed in the future. Now if we formally define supervised learning, then we have a set of input represented by x and its consequent output represented by y. As you can see in the figure, we have under x category input 1 and its subsequent output as output 1. Similarly, input 2 and output 2, and up to input and output n. So these are the learning data or the data which has to be given to the learning algorithm. Now on the basis of this data, this experience, the algorithm tries to solve the new problem which is specified by new input x. Then that new input is passed to the model, and as we can see in the picture, the model has now been now have been embedded with the learning algorithm. Then it gives the output y. So if we consider certain examples of supervised learning, then we can have an example of the estimation of price of used cars or used vehicles, whether it a car or a bike, where we can specify certain characteristics or features of that vehicle, like its mileage, its its registration details, or number of times it has been reused, so on. So on the basis of these features, we can decide what can be the probable price of that vehicle. So this is an example of supervised learning. Another example is credit scoring, where we can define the attributes of a person, whether a person is risk taking person, high risk person, or low risk person. Say for example, if the income of a person is low, uh, is high, and his savings are low. Income is high and savings are low, then we can say that that particular person is risk taking person. Or on contrary, we can say that if the income is low and savings are also low, then we can say that the person lies in the category of high risk person. And on the other hand, if we can say if the income is high and the savings of the person is also at the higher end, then we can say that that person is low risk category person, means he or she does not like to take too many risks in his or her life. So we can have other examples of supervised learning as well. So these two are just considered for the sake of understanding. Now we come to the next category, which is unsupervised learning. So you can see over here, in this case we do not have the uh, y variable which was specifying the consequent outputs in case of supervised learning. So here we only have the certain number of inputs, and the learning algorithm which we have try to specify, try to extract the features of these inputs, and on the basis of these features the clusters of those inputs have been made. So if you see the examples of unsupervised learning, then it is generally, if we consider some example out of the context of computer science, then we can have the example of a baby or a child, where he or she identifies something, like how a child identify that this particular animal is a dog or a cat. So these are the examples out of the context of computer science. But if we talk in the context of computer science, then we can consider an example from the field of cloud computing, where it's one of the most important characteristics is resource pooling to realize multi-tenancy. As we all know that cloud is a computing paradigm which provides almost all types of computing services through the internet. So generally in cloud environment the resource are pooled uh, according to their you can say specifications, in order to quickly provide the cloud services to multiple users simultaneously. So if we want to create resource pools, so then we can apply the process of unsupervised learning, because it cannot be the task which is possible to do manually. We need some automation, we need some computer to pool the resources logically in a cloud data center. So in that case we may require unsupervised learning. Now the third category is reinforcement learning. So as you can see with the diagram drawn over here, we have an agent which is performing some action in the environment, and as a result the environment is first of all changing the state, means whatever the state of the agent before performing the action has now been changed, and along with the state changing there is some reward. Now this reward may be positive or negative. So on the basis of the category of the reward, the agent tries to learn, means whether the performed action was good or bad in the context of certain scenario. So if we consider the examples of reinforcement learning, then first one is AI based games. So suppose we implement a game, we implement a program to play a game like tic tac toe or chess, or even some other game like Angry Birds. So in that case the program, the implemented program may be applying the process of reinforcement learning. So let's consider the example of tic tac toe, where the computer makes a certain move, and as a resultant of that move, let us suppose the computer loses the game. So the computer remembers that this move made me lose the game. So at the next time when the computer play the game, the computer will try to avoid that move. So that is the example of AI based game implemented with reinforcement learning. And of course, in robotics, we can also have the applications of reinforcement learning where we can have a robot which learns as per the rewards from the environment. Suppose we have a robot who is working in a particular house or in a lab, then for example, if it encounters water somewhere or moisture somewhere, then it may not be you can say beneficial for a particular robot. So when it encounters that, and it would result in some negative reward from that environment, and would let it to learn from that particular reward. So this is all about the types of machine learning. Hope you understand it. So in case you have any doubt, then please write me in the comment section so that I can respond you accordingly. Thank you.